So, welcome to the midweek episode of Theatres of Dreams podcast. I think it's actually called Theatres of Therapy today because we are all in a bit of a bad mood. I've had to use the bleep on Erin already several times, and Harry is still on the floor. Good morning, guys. How are we all?
Good morning. Still probably my head's on another planet after last night, and I mean, not very pleased about what happened, but I think we're all in need of a bit of therapy this morning, aren't we?
Harry, this was your idea to do it the morning after the matches, and I almost feel like I would have been more upbeat this time yesterday than I was, I am today.
Yeah, I think that's probably a fair point, Rod. I feel very much out of puff. Feel like the train has left the station, and it just feels like the momentum and the delusion has definitely left me. It's quite a sobering morning. Let's just say that as a Manchester United fan.
A sobering morning, and maybe we'll start there because I've seen one of the guys, I forget his name, Stephen Howson. He was saying this morning on the podcast, I think it's Stretford Paddock, that he was saying, look, this has been coming because the performances haven't been great. We've been getting away with results, and this has been coming. And when you look at, the fact that we're missing Martinez in central defence, we're missing the left back. What's his name? Oh goodness, um, oh
Patrick Dorgu.
Patrick Dorgu. We're missing those players. And we don't actually have that much strength and depth. When you bring on a Ugarte and you bring on Xerxes, and they don't actually make a difference. I mean, is this the reality check really?
I think I'd say reality check could be quite a good way to point to spell it out. I think United have been rather lucky, especially in the Everton game, which we did say was Le Mans' best game as a team. It was sort of the game could have gone either way. The last few games as well, it could have gone either way as well. I think Carrick has done a stellar job so far, but last night was really one of those ones where we actually saw United and where we are currently. I know that we often get very sort of delusional and think, oh, Project 21, or that might just be me. But when you see yourself in third in the league and you see how well Carrick's doing, he had the longest unbeaten run in the league, and now that's sadly come to an end. I think, if anything, though, just sort of to play devil's advocate, I think it's quite good that it's happened now. I know we're out the FA Cup. It's a midweek game of football up at St James's Park, which is always a difficult place to go. I know Everton can do it, but we've clearly struggled to do it this time round. But it's given us plenty of time to reassess what we've got. I know you mentioned Dorgu. His return to the squad is almost imminent. So that gives us a chance to sort of rebuild around the team that we do have. Because, as you said again, Rod, the squad is such an intimate and small group of players. If one person disappears, then we are going to really see an impact. But yeah, if I'm honest, I think it's taken a lot of reflection to say it, but I'm glad it's happened last night. I'm glad it happened the way it did, and I'm just hoping, crucially, that the players and the manager can learn from these mistakes and go again in the finite number of games that we've got left.
Well, we'll get into it in a bit more detail, but I feel I've got to let Erin have her moment because I can see steam coming out of her ears. Erin, you're 2-2 at Nottingham Forest last night. Does that does that effectively make Arsenal almost, it's more than advantage Arsenal, basically, do you think?
Yeah, it's advantage Arsenal, but the way I look at it is I don't think it's over just yet. How many times has City been in this position where they've been in a position where they're losing the league and chasing people down? You look at a few seasons ago, Aston Villa at home beating them 3-2 to win the league. 93-20 Aguero moment chasing you lot to win the league. And then you look at I think it was 23-24 when we won it. Arsenal was something ridiculously points clear, dropped a load of points, and then we ended up sneaking. I think we were only on top of the table for about 2 weeks. It's an advantage, but obviously you look at the table, City have still got a game in hand and still yet to play them in April. So I think for me, I don't think it's over just yet. I think maybe if we drop any more silly points like we did last night, then yeah, we're the causes of our own issue at the moment. And to do that last night was nowhere near good enough.
Well, I'm going to say, I mean, I'm looking at the match stats here, and you had 70% possession. Your XG was 2. Their XG was 0.97. You had 21 shots, they had 9. So clearly, either they were lethal or you switched off at times. What do you think was the story of the match?
I think for Forest's first goal, we definitely switched off considerably. I mean, you look at Gibbs White's goal, he just back heels it into the back of the net. You can't be allowing that to happen. Not not in a title race. And I mean, the second one, I'll give him credit. Elliot Anderson is a wonderful player, has done wonders for Forest over the last few seasons, and there's a reason everybody's after him. He scored a worldie last night, and I'll give him all his credit for that. He deserved it. But you look at the stats, we just don't put our chances away, and it really, really frustrates me because it seems every chance we get either gets hit straight at the keeper or it's just a weak, tame effort that's not going to do anything. Haaland's not on form. Yes, you can debate we should have had at least one penalty last night, but you can't put that all on the game. We should have put it to bed miles before Forest had a chance to get back into it.
Well, talking about chances, Harry, just coming back to the United game last night up at St James's Park, it feels to me like Manchester United at the moment are currently not. They're not playing with enough variety, versatility. We're not using the wings as much. Maybe we don't have the players to do it. It feels like it's all a bit too possession based and a bit too slow and a bit too one dimensional. Is that an over criticism?
Uh, it's a difficult one because we used to rely extensively on the wingers, and the last couple of weeks, Diallo's not really been playing very well. He's been bodying off the ball, and he was dropped for Sesko coming in, and obviously everybody, the main focus of all the headlines and also clearly of Carrick has been Benjamin Sesko and the brilliant result that he's been on, but at some point these runs will come to an end. Yeah, I think again as Carrick said in his post-match comments, he said lessons have to be learnt from this game, and I don't think it's just a tactical point of view. I think it's also a man point of view as well that we do need to reinforce in certain areas. One player I didn't think we'd miss as much as we have done is Mason Mount. I think when we get him back from injury, he did look quite sharp. He has looked quite sharp all season, and it's yet another option on that left hand side. On the right hand side, it's always been a strength of ours with Mbumo and Diallo, Mazraoui as well. Dallo less so, but last night, if Mbumo puts away that close ranger, then we're having a completely different conversation this morning. But yeah, the last thing I want to say in these lessons as well is you asked Erin the question: is this sort of advantage Arsenal? At the moment, it's almost like we're in the sort of season-defining areas of the league at the moment, and for United, or especially for Carrick, this is really sort of like a job-defining game against Aston Villa on the 15th of March. Because if he wins that, it guarantees. Well, it's an extra foothold in the Champions League places. If he loses it, there'll be a lot more question marks around Carrick, and if he's the right man for the job. Because I think we can both agree, Rod, that we've been a little bit not delusional with Carrick, but all on board the Carrick Wonderland. And if memory serves me correct, Christmas finished 3 months ago. So I think, yeah, I don't know if we're still lingering on the Yule logs or whatever Christmas booze we are having, but I think it's as I said, I think we've all sort of sobered up and woken up a little bit, and now it's time really to assess facts.
Well, yes, and I have to admit, I've been having a right old think this morning over my dog walk whether I was a little bit too much on the delusional Carrick bus, but also I did think to myself, well, at the same time, let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater here. He's now got over 10 days to react and to think about this and for the players to work on it. And then the next game is huge. I mean, I think it's almost too much thinking time, actually.
Mm-hmm.
You almost want to be in that pattern where you're playing. But it is one game. We were slow out of the blocks, Harry. And I don't know. There was something about the fact that he played Sesko, he played Mbumo, and he played Cunha all together. I felt like we didn't have anything on the bench to come and change it. Ugarte and Xerxes are not game changers at all. No. They give you nothing. And But also, I just didn't think there was enough variation in
Mhm.
our play. We
I,
you know.
I think that's the crux of it. We've how long have we discussed is Benjamin Sesko a starter for Manchester United? Yet he performs the role so well of being that variation on the bench. If you go down to 10 men, if you're looking for that that bit of impotence and that bit of just energy you need chasing after every single ball. You turn to the bench, 70th minute, bring him on, and he normally brings you a goal. It seems as though I don't know if it was the wrong call starting him because when Ramsey received the sending off, you would have thought right, the momentum's going to shift in our way. I know that Newcastle got an early goal and then we responded very quickly, which was great. But in that second half, that's where you make the changes and you go for more of the because you've got the extra man advantage. You want to use more attacking players to utilize that advantage. But it felt almost like Newcastle had the extra man advantage, just how they were playing. They seem to have a
Yes.
bit more diversity going forward. So it's I read it. I can't remember if it's on a podcast or read it somewhere, but I think it's a very good shout. You mentioned there's 10 days until the Aston Villa game. Somebody mentioned that maybe United should be playing a friendly match in the meantime. I don't know who it was, or if it was but whatever. We really, we've, I think it'll be interesting to compare this season with other seasons where we've not had any distractions from any other leagues. But at this point, I think 10 days is far too long because we're going to be stewing on these mistakes because it was littered last night with mistakes. We're going to be overthinking every single thing. And if we come out the blocks like we did at St James's Park at home against Aston Villa, people may say that their season's gone, but they're still a really good squad, and they'll punish us.
Let's talk about the red card. I don't know, Erin, if you've seen this. Ramsey's red card in the first half, at the end of the first half. And I've got to admit, I didn't. The refereeing, I thought, last night was dubious in a way and a lot of yellow cards. But this red card, was it simulation? Was he touched? What did you think about it? Was it deserved?
I've seen a little bit of it. I haven't seen like the full thing. I've seen a bit online about it, and I think I went in and spoke to my dad about it because he's a United fan. He doesn't think it was. He doesn't
Mm.
think it was simulation. He thinks he should have stayed on. But obviously, I just want to jump back, if that's okay, to a point that Harry made before. You said that you thought the momentum would change when Newcastle got a man sent off. They often say that it's harder to play against 10 men than it is 11. Do you think that's why United struggled so much, or do you think it was just mistakes costing them last night?
I think it's a bit of both. I think the mistakes were clear and obvious to see. I think there was missed chances as well. Just that Mbumo one has been on repeat in my head. 6 yards out, you've got to be nestling that, and then we'd be having a completely different conversation today. And I think as well, it just shows that we have got so many holes in that squad. Say if we
Yeah.
because there isn't enough confidence in Xerxes to start him in the nine. Say if he was confident, we'd be starting him in the nine, and then when you go down to 10 men, or even in the 70th minute, as I said, we need a bit more energy. Be turning to Sesko, who at the moment is not quite there to be the starting number nine just yet, because that game just screamed out for like an Ollie coming off the bench and going at the game. So I would sort of say, if I'm honest, it's been almost like the when you before you buy a new house, you get the estate agents in and they tell you where all the faults are, where you failed this, where you've got to spend thousands of pounds on this, otherwise your roof's going to cave in or whatever. It feels like this has really been the home assessment where we've gone. It's the momentum shifted. Now we need to take stock and actually look where the problems are. Because yeah, there's because Rod, I was just going to say we would say in our last season it's bringing a midfielder. I think now every single position we just need to reinforce in depth, because if you look at City and how many players can they turn to, even Foden who's on an off season, if we bring in a quality player like that on, that's the sort of thing that we need to have in our bench
Yeah.
in pretty much every single position.
Well, it's funny. My son was watching it from Vietnam, and he sent me a text overnight, and he said it's been a bad. Didn't use that few weeks for us level wise, and he said it caught up with us, but it's no time to panic. Need to get it right, on Sunday coming. The results still went in our favour, and we would have taken it 6 weeks ago to be in this position. But it's now on Carrick to raise levels. Energy levels are dropping. It isn't good enough given we hardly play football anymore. But let's hope we can put it right. And is it just energy levels? I just feel like I don't see enough creative patterns. I'm seeing the same patterns all the time, and we're not making use of the whole pitch. And I can't work it out. But then I sort of decided I don't understand football anymore.
Yeah. Again, though, Rod, I think that sort of boils down to lack of football, lack of game time. It's just, had you had, like City, for instance, they've got a difficult run of games in the next few weeks. They've got FA Cup this weekend against Newcastle, and then they've got the Real Madrid clashes in the knockout stages in the Champions League, and then West Ham United, Newcastle United, and Real Madrid all play completely different styles of football, and Guardiola will be aware of that, and he'll be implementing three different game plans going into each game. United, we seem to just be playing Premier League football week in, week out. And the thing that always seems to cause us issue is this low block. And how many times have we come against it, and then we still can't seem
Yes.
to get anything out of the game. So I feel like if we were in a competition, it could have been the FA Cup, for instance, because that's a completely different style of football. Even just a European game of football, completely different style of football. Having that ability to change things up, that then also allows us to sort of the players to sort of you not just do the same thing every single time, which like last season was play the ball to Bruno Fernandes and see what he does. This time everything seems to be very, very central and not utilising the whip. So this is again shows why the Aston Villa game is so crucial, because we have to get European football, and it's not just for the financial reasons, but
No.
it's also for more
Brilliant.
game time and crucially different types of games that we'd be playing as well.
And to attract the right sort of players into the club as well, you know.
Exactly.
And but oh, I was just gonna. One of the things I think is worth mentioning about last night's game was the performance of Ramsdale. And I had actually forgotten he isn't actually their first choice keeper. It's obviously Nick Pope, who I think is injured, is he? But Ramsdale made a number of brilliant saves as a number two. I mean, incredible, really.
He's a decent keeper, and I don't think there's any disagreeing with that. Is he on loan from Arsenal? I want to say he's on loan.
I think he might
I
be.
think he is, yeah.
I think he's
Yeah.
on loan, isn't he? Because he was first choice at Arsenal. Then David Raya came in, didn't he?
Mhm.
And then obviously, I don't think anyone's knocking him off his perch at the moment, as much as
Oh,
he
he's on
frustrates.
loan. He's on loan from Southampton, I think.
Oh, oh God,
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
because
because he got relegated with them. Yeah, that was it.
he has that curse, doesn't he? Wherever he goes, they seem to get relegated. But, I mean, maybe the curse might be broken with Newcastle. Maybe he's destined not to go down, but I guess we'll see that come the
He
end.
certainly wasn't cursed
He's
last
he's
night.
he's a he's a classy keeper, and I think I want to say I'm kind of sad the way his career's dropped off a little bit, because he did so well with Arsenal, like he had a really good time. And then obviously since you get another goalkeeper and you think, oh, maybe there'll be a bit of competition, but no, it just seemed like to me, it seemed like he was pushed out a little bit off his own terms. And I do feel a bit sad, but I feel like to have gone from, I think he was challenging for the England number one at one point, wasn't he? And then
Mhm.
he doesn't get the call up anymore.
Well,
Just not playing.
yeah, no, he had a good night last night,
Just
and some of his saves were spectacular. He doesn't look the biggest keeper in the world, but he's got an agility to him. Just look at some of the other results last night in the Premier League. It was a massive result at the Villa for Chelsea, and like a hat trick for João Pedro. I haven't seen any of the goals, but I mean that's a big result for Chelsea, 4-1 at Villa.
Yeah, massive. But I mean, what did we say before we came on air, Rod? That Villa are a weird club.
Oh.
They just see it's like they're sitting in like the top three and four despite having lost how many games recently.
mhm.
I don't know whether
with
you think this, Harry. It's really inconsistent.
it's very inconsistent, and I've got a feeling that the Villa for a large proportion of this season they've been sat even in second place, and we're thinking, oh, could Villa really push on for something? And again, it shows the importance of having strength in depth in every single position. It wouldn't surprise me now if Villa prioritise their European efforts, because they have been performing quite well in European competitions. I can't remember the last time they won a European honour. That seems more likely than toppling Arsenal off their perch anyway. Um, Again, I sort of wish that result didn't happen, but for United fans, because obviously our next game is against Aston Villa, and you've got no idea how the Villa will come back from a 4-1 battering pretty much
Yeah.
at home. And then compared to us, who are very, very much deflated, it leaves a lot of question marks before that game. And I believe at Villa they're out of the FA Cup as well. But they've had a difficult run of form as well. The fact that they were beaten 2-0 by Wolverhampton Wanderers as well, bottom of the table. It's not exactly. Let's just say it's not been the greatest 7 days for the Brummie outlet in terms of Premier League action. But yeah, it's João Pedro again. I was speaking to my mate in the pub last night, and he was saying that he had João Pedro captain last week, took him out of his FPL week this week, and he scores a hat trick and gets an assist. So let's just say he wasn't too pleased. Oh, and double on top of that, he's a Brighton fan as well, and they were getting beaten by Arsenal at the same time. So Rod, it's not just United fans who are having a torrid time as of late.
Well, let's turn then to Arsenal, because there's been a lot of talk over the last even 24 hours about a lot of criticism of Arsenal's tactics and the fact that they're almost anti-football in a way. And the Birmingham manager really laid into them a little bit, Fabian Hürzeler. What I feel like I've been asleep on this, right? And I've suddenly woken up and, thinking, are Arsenal a very almost anti-football? They're very physical these days. I mean, has that been the soundtrack to their whole season, do you think? Or do you think the criticism is a bit unfair? And what's happening is now, as we get to the end of the season, they're basically locking down, consolidating, battling it out. What do you think?
I think the criticism's perfectly fair of them. With these corners, like I know we mentioned it last week about Everton and United, where they had like 11 players in the box having a wrestling match. That's Arsenal. It's just the same thing every week. It's the same move every week, and it's not football. It's not football at all. You're sticking 10 players in the box, wrestling with each other. It's not a good watch. And it's like yesterday, the Brighton manager, Hürzeler, his comments in his press conference, there was only one team that tried to play football tonight. I will never be the kind of manager who tries to win a league that way. It's the time wasting that gets on everybody's nerves. And you looked at it last night. I think it was Hincapié, I think you pronounce it. He was taking ages to take the throne, and I can't repeat what he said, but you can tell when you lip read it, he's telling him to play football and stop and hurry up taking the throne. And Hincapié just turns around, shushes him, and gets a few extra seconds in. But I think the thing that annoys everybody is that it's just the way that they win it. It's just yesterday they were very lucky that they won that game. Brighton arguably should have had a penalty in that one. And I know you can't criticise that all the time, but the time wasting and the physicality in the corners, they've had 8 own goals in a matter of games that have gone in their favour. It's not good football to watch. And I know I'm probably going to get hated by Arsenal fans for this, but it's not football.
I feel like I've just woken up to the season, and maybe it's just my brain injury and my lack of memory, but I always thought Arsenal and Arteta would be a little bit more skillful, a little bit more, and especially with his background, a little bit more of the master tacticians. And I mean, we've seen it with the corners. They are very out of sort of not route one, but very heavily drilled, if you like, and they are a big side. But suddenly it seems like everybody's laying into Arsenal and laying into the style of football. Just seems to me to be very unlike Arteta to be like that. But and he's come out and said, I love my players and we love our players. I love the way we compete. Is this Arteta learning from previous seasons and saying we just got to lock in here and battle it out?
I think it's ingenious from the North London outfit, to be honest. I know it's frustrating to watch, but clearly it's working. 7 points clear at the top of the table. Like another team who I'm not particularly fond of is Leeds United. And if you think back to the dirty leads of the day, and Don Revie with his binders trying to exploit every single possible advantage in the rule books. That just seems to be what Arsenal are doing. And we came into this podcast season anyway, saying that this has to be Arteta's time. If he doesn't get the results, he's out the door. And clearly, he sat down with his team and gone, right, look, where can we gain this advantage? And it's from the set pieces, and you can see other teams following in suit. I think the criticism, yes, it may be boring football. Yes, it may not be the exciting Premier League football of the 90s that we all remember. But at the same time, how long have we been seeing the game going in this way, where it's tried to be slowed down as much as possible? I sort of hope that this season, if Arsenal regretfully do win the league, then the FA may implement some more of these time saving rules that they're talking about. When you talk about the goal kicks, if it's longer than I believe it's 8 seconds, then
8 seconds,
a free kick is awarded in the other way. Like, I completely understand the frustration. I completely understand it is anti-football, but at the same time, if it was for us, Rod, say, as United fans, and we were in this position, we'd be going, look, why, if we're doing this, do you know we're doing this? Why aren't you then in the training ground trying to prepare against it? And I think that's the conversation we really should be having, because we know exactly when it comes to a corner, we know what's going to happen. Arsenal are going to do these arrival routes which would have challenged Manchester Airport, for instance, and all this sort of stuff. Yeah, or we know that it's coming. We just haven't prepared for it. If I'm honest, like we saw with the Rory Delap throwings of long ago, they only last for so long because teams will figure it out, and I think that will happen. I just hope that, as a United fan, that it's figured out pretty sharpish, because a 7-point cushion at the top of the league is it certainly says that something's going in Arsenal's favour anyway.
Can I jump in on that really quick?
Go on.
There's a couple of stats that I've just found from last night, and we're talking about time wasting and all this. So this is the first one I've got. Taking all delays into account, Arsenal spent an average of 31.4 seconds to get the ball back in play from corners, goal kicks, throw-ins, free kicks, all of that. And then the other one, this was all totaled up. Arsenal took 30 minutes and 51 seconds to restart play against Brighton last night in total, the highest in a Premier League match this season of delay.
What was that again? Sorry, how long?
30 minutes and 51 seconds in total.
So a third of the game they spent with the ball not in play.
Yeah, messing around with it, time wasting. I'm sorry, but how can that be interesting to watch for Arsenal fans?
It's not at all. But again, it's the interest for Arsenal is that very much a rage bait football club. Just look at the social media output. They like to
AFTV.
aggravate. Yeah, it's AFTV aggravating football club. That's what I like to call it. But this is where you're saying 30 minutes. That's far too long. That's where the FA or FIFA or whoever have got to be thinking, look, this is an issue. And they'll only really take proper attention to it is when the attention on the sport starts to dip and their stocks start to dip and the financial aspect of things starts to dip. Because, we don't really want to see 12 minutes added on at the end, because that's always the worst thing, unless you've got Harry Maguire against Leon and it's the best thing in the bloody world. But what you need something like we've got with the 8 seconds with the goal kick. You've got to get that in with other aspects of the game. Because if I remember correctly, it was Arsene Wenger who tried to implement the time-saving measures. I wonder what his take is on this current Arsenal time-wasting endeavours. But it's certainly it feels like you're pulling teeth sometimes when you do watch Arsenal Football Club trying to take a throw in.
Well, apparently their new sponsor is going to be Timex, so it is. Anyway, let's just move on. Let's go back to the weekend, because Ultia was in action in the National League. They were down at Brackley Town. It ended 2-0, a strong 3 points. What did you make of this game, guys?
Buzzing. I don't care how we did it, but it's a massive 3 points that was needed, and it was the right response after an absolute horror show on Tuesday last week. I mean, to be fair, I just kind of ignore that happened. That never happened. We don't need to talk about that. But Saturday, Ollie set up really, really well, and Jake Cooper with a bit of an unorthodox finish, obviously from a
Mhm.
centre back. You don't see that very often, and he doesn't get himself on the score sheet very often. He was actually named in Team of the Week because of that from the non-league paper, which I'm sure I'll be pretty pleased with. But as well, Declan Howe. See, there was a little bit of controversy in this as well. Altrincham scored from a corner, but the referee had already blown to give a penalty to Altrincham. And what do you think could have possibly happened out of that one, Rod? We missed the penalty. Of
Yes,
course we do.
yes. He was
But
denied, wasn't he? Yes.
he was denied from the spot. I've seen it back. I'll be the one to say it was a terrible penalty. It was
Yeah,
straight down the middle. The keeper saved it with
Johnny
his legs.
Mackstead in goal for Brackley guessed correctly. But anyway,
He
but
scored later on,
he
so
did. He
all is
scored
well. And that's
in
the
the.
first. I think that's the first time we've done a double over the team. We've taken 6 points off
Mhm.
them this season, which is always nice.
It's
Yeah.
good to see a local team going to St James's Park and coming away with a result. Actually, that's Brackley
Of course.
Town's place. The attendance. I mean, guys, 800 attendance in the National League. That's not that much, is it really?
Well, I think we've got to admire Altrincham fans. They do go in large numbers,
Uh,
especially on the away trips. I can completely understand if you Braintree and you don't fancy going all the way down to Truro, because I think it's the longest away day currently. Sorry, Gateshead down to Truro is the longest away day there's been in the English pyramid history. But I've just got to say, on an Altrincham standpoint, when we talk about that blip, which has just been cast out of my mind, it does wonders of confidence for the squad. The fact they've been able to get a massive 3 points on the road, and if you just have a quick glance at the National League table, as we say, you can never take it as gospel, but Altrincham currently lying 15th on 40 points. 16th, 17th, 18th, and 19th all have 39 points on tally.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's one of those where you have to quite literally take it game by game. And there are quite a few teams there who've played less games than us, such as Woking have only played 32. But yeah, that's got to be a massive result for the Robins, and they've got the visit of Truro City up on
Saturday,
Saturday, I believe. And again, if you look at where Truro are in the league, they are, well,
right
they're
bottom.
quite literally at the bottom of the country and at the bottom of the standings as well. So if the Robins can take the strengths that they built from that game and take them crucially to home, then you would have thought that's another 3 points to the Robin and another step on securing that mid-table finish that we're all after.
It's
Truro
a mad
City.
month, this though.
I know.
It is a mad month. It is Truro City 1 point in the last 6 games. They've got a draw at the weekend, and then before that there was 5 straight defeats. So, let's hope. The other side of the table, it's a battle between Rochdale and York City for the championship, really, I guess. But
Yeah.
That was
uh,
interesting on Tuesday.
Yeah, massively so. York's 24 game unbeaten run at home came to an end. So it is very much tightening up at the top there with Rochdale on 85, York on 83, and Carlisle on 71 as well. I know they're a little bit more off the drift, but they are quite literally the big boys of the National League. And yeah, it's one of those where it's always great when your team's not involved in it, because you can just sort of enjoy watching the matches a little bit
Yeah.
more. But yeah, they are they newbie from Altrincham. I'm sort of rooting for York just because. Well, don't really like Rochdale, but also Alex Newby in a Yorkshire. You want somebody from Altrincham or somewhere from Altrincham's backlog to try and get into the Football League. But yeah, what an
Exactly.
impressive run at home. 24 games unbeaten. It's such a shame for that to come to an
Yeah.
end, but still, yeah, unbelievable for the Yorkshire outlet.
I'm just gonna jump in on that quickly, Harry. I've got a mate from Rochdale. Well, she grew up in Rochdale. She's a Rochdale fan, and she'll probably laugh when I tell her that she's been mentioned. I remember sitting on my group chat. I think it was Tuesday night when they played, and I just remember getting a string of messages. Rochdale, for the love of God, do not bottle this. And then she's laughing at York conceding, and I'm just sat there like, this is an incredible title race, and I'm just sat there thinking like, who do you really want out of this? Because the way I look at it, Rochdale probably they'll want to go up more than anyone, having been stuck in this league a lot longer than they'll have wanted to be. But as we say, they say the National League's the hardest to get out of. Once you go down to it, you don't
Mhm.
come straight back up, and the stats prove that. And it's
Yeah,
common. But
very
I,
much
I
so.
don't see York bottling it a second time round.
So you think? I mean, I was looking at the table here, and York do score quite a lot of goals, but they've conceded 10 more than Rochdale, and they've obviously been quite crucial goals. Rochdale scored 68 goals, but let in 25. York City scored 94 goals, but let in 35. You wonder whether sometimes momentum and your ability to score will lead you into it. You know what I mean? Or
Mhm.
it's going to be fascinating. If I had to put you two on the spot, which of the two do you think will end up being champions?
York,
Rochdale. I think Rochdale personally.
York.
Rochdale, York.
I think if you're, I sort of want Rochdale to win because then this will be if
I'm
York
sick of
don't
playing
go
him.
up. I'm just saying if York don't go up, this would be for the second time in a row. Then that would be when we talk about this 3 up campaign. Then that has to be one of the main talking points of trying to get that implemented in because York deserve to be in in the football league, especially after just the last 2 seasons alone. They have been well. Look at how many goals they've scored, and then look at how many points comfortably above eventual promotion. The promoted teams Oldham were. Then it just shows that that 3 up needs to be implemented.
It
Uh,
does.
yeah,
Sooner rather
that's
than
the.
later.
I think it'll be one of those where it'll be very much keeping an eagle eye on it because it does feel it's got the feeling that it could go down right to the very end.
See, the thing is though, Rod, with Harry saying Rochdale going up, if you look at their results, there have been so many of them where they are so lucky in getting a win. Like they were 3-0 up at one point, I think, against Brackley, and it ended up 3-2. How I don't get it. How can Rochdale fans sit there without biting their nails?
Can I just say as well something that does really excite me? I often like to look at the matches, and if you look at the 25th of April, 12:30 kickoff, Rochdale at home to York City. Now, I would love
Oh,
it if that went down to the wire, and both teams are basically whoever wins the
our own
game
Kevin Keegan
goes
over
up.
here. I would
That
love
would
it.
I would love it, and also it'd be well worth my DAZN subscription just for that
Can't
as
believe
well.
you pay that. It's
It's well,
mental.
but it's if you look at some of Rochdale's games as well, you've got the likes of Braintree Town, you've got Wealdstone, you've got Morecambe, you've also got the likes of Eastleigh in there, you've got Boston United, teams who are struggling. Yes, they do have like they've got difficult clashes at Scunthorpe as well, but I just feel like it just sort of shows how, as you say, how difficult this league is to navigate because
Yeah.
the last 2 seasons we've seen the top five have been massively separated from the middle of the pack, and then the middle of the pack have been massively separated by the bottom of the pack, and we've seen that yet again. And it's just unfortunate that Ultra have ended up in the wrong pack rather than they're
It's
fighting
like
amongst the big
Gateshead
boys.
though. It's like Gateshead though. You mentioned Altrincham. Think about Gateshead. The last 2 seasons before this, they've been challenging for the playoffs. And I say this, I do feel bad for them that they were never given the opportunity to partake in the playoffs when they reached them because the ground didn't meet standards or something else like that. I always thought they'd have had a good shot at going up. But if you look at the top five in last season and the season before that, when Altrincham narrowly missed out, Rochdale Rochdale were in and around the playoffs. They were fourth place, didn't
Mm-hmm.
go up, and I think no one would have predicted Oldham to have gone up that
No,
season.
not at all.
Barnet, yeah, you'd have said yeah they'll go on and win the league due to previously. York, you'd be fuming, wouldn't you, if you got
Mm,
96 points and you didn't get promoted? Because I remember they got battered by Oldham. They were ran off the park by
hmm.
Oldham last season. But it's such a weird league because anyone beats anyone and the top five changes. It's like Forest Green, Summit's not changing there. I mean, they're
Yeah.
sitting in third and sitting in around the playoffs again.
Can I just the last thing I want to sort of ask on the National League is you've mentioned Forest Green Rovers there, and they've obviously got a very famous footballing manager at the moment in terms of Robbie Savage. Now, one managerial role that did become available but has since been filled in an interim role is Blackburn Rovers manager.
Hmm.
Now, if Forest Green, because currently they lie in fifth place, which obviously would put them into the playoffs, so it doesn't guarantee promotion. If Forest Green fail to get promotion, do you think Savage would be tempted for a move up north, up to Blackburn?
Yeah, I do.
Because he
I
think he
do.
would be.
I do, yeah, because he's gone from taking Macclesfield from Northern Prem and below to National League North, and they're sitting pretty comfortably in there in the playoffs now. He's done a good job, and yeah, I'll give him his credit as much as it hurts me to do so. I'll give him his credit for Macclesfield because that hurts a lot to do as an Austrian fan.
Uh,
It really
but
does. But I
well,
do
look.
think he'd be tempted. He'll want to finish the job with Forest, and if he doesn't get what he wants out of that, why wouldn't you go there? It's a championship job, isn't it?
Well, okay, before we go into the weekend's results, I want to share with you a story I picked up from Turkey, where a team there, Turkish giants apparently, Adana Demirspor, I've never heard of them, but currently sits on minus 57 points because of financial fair play rules. And this is the club that Mario Balotelli had formerly played for as well. They've got a beautiful stadium. It's a lovely 30,000 seater stadium. But they were first hit in 2004, and then they've been hit again. And you gotta say, it puts United's position, issues into some perspective, doesn't it? Really, when you have administration like that, I've never seen anything like it. The other thing I wanted to mention was Mikhail Antonio. I have him down as football's forgotten man, if you like, because he had that car accident back in 2024, if you recall, when he was playing
Mhm.
for West Ham, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Now he's back in Saudi football again, which can only be a good thing. So, you wish him all the very best of luck there. And the final thing I'd say is that while United may not be going well in the last 24 hours, Carrick has been good for sales because there's been apparently a £200 million uplift in merchandise sales this year. And they're saying that a lot of that is because of the upturn in mood and with Carrick coming in. So, you wonder if you'll get a bonus out of that.
Maybe. Can I just mention something on Carrot really quick? I wanted to mention it before. I don't know whether you've seen this, Harry. You probably will have done. Have you seen Paul Scholes absolutely battering him on social media? I don't understand why he's done that. It's just
Actually, a lot of them have. A lot of former players,
they've battered him.
Boughton schools have been battering them, and I've actually come to the point I can't watch their podcast at the moment. I just can't watch it, and
Didn't they have a thing about where they made a comment about Lissandro Martinez and then
Yeah.
he said something back and they doubled down on it really badly and just made themselves look stupid?
have you seen any of this, Harry?
I've saw the Lissandro Martinez comment, which sort of turned me off from the podcast slightly, and chose a more premium podcast of the Theatres of Dreams podcast personally.
Yeah.
But I've not really seen an awful lot of this. But if I'm honest, it doesn't really surprise me because how many times have we said that legends of this football club seem uh, to be sort of dragging the name of players and also the club themselves into the mud because it's not what you want. You call in for stability. The one thing that we struggle as a football club is having legends still being involved with the football club. If you look at Sir Alex, greatest football manager of all time, but the fact that Darren Fletcher had to ask him for his blessing to take the role, you can see that United do have a problem with saying our farewells with the glory days and with the people who were involved with that. But yeah, Scholes and Nicky, well, United born and bred, you would never imagine them dragging the club through the mud like they have been.
I, I,
He's put on his Instagram. Michael has definitely got something special about him because United have been crap the last four games. Good night. That's what he's put, and he's put something about Tenali as well. And I don't understand why, because that was his midfield partner, no, when they were at the club together.
Tonali.
No, him and Scholes and Carrick,
Yeah, yes,
not
yes, yes, yes.
Tenali. Scholes and Carrick. They
Do you
played
know,
together.
I can only think that there's a little bit of envy. There's a little bit of jealousy that they're not in there at the club and they're not part and parcel of what's going on,
Yeah.
because it has actually really disappointed me. And I look at former Liverpool players when Liverpool weren't great. I don't see them I didn't see them at the time, although things were different. There weren't the same podcasts, etc. But they didn't launch in at their team at the time,
I
and
just I hope all it is I hope it's a stupid ploy by their media team saying, look, the good, the bad, the football isn't performing very well. Go and say something controversial on social media. Go and attack your mate, and then you get people coming to the podcast thinking, oh, what they're going to say. But it's just, I think Carrick deserves all the plaudits he gets because he's been a saving grace of Manchester United this season. And without trying to quote Jamie Carragher, he says sometimes leave the football before the football leaves you. At the same point, leave social media when the football leaves you as well. Because how many times have we seen Michael Owen come out with something controversial, Rio Ferdinand come out with something controversial,
It's
Paul
just
Scholes come out with something controversial, and the theme with all of them, ex-Manchester United players. There must be
it's just a
something in the
social
Carrington
media
water.
thing, isn't it? They think they can post whatever they want on it and it won't come back to bite them, and it just makes them look so stupid.
Yeah, I have to say I'm speechless, and I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed. But there you go. I'll tell you though, something that's really good to watch on the overlap is Roberto Martinez was on there, and he was talking about Lukaku and talking about perfect and imperfect strikers, and saying he was an imperfect striker but difficult to play against. Something I think we should pick up sometime about perfect strikers and imperfect strikers. I think we should do that. But it was a good watch actually. And there's somebody in Roberto Martinez who he just know that he's a football guy. He loves football. He loves the game from a technical angle. And let's go into fixtures then. Tonight in the Premier League, it's the small matter of Spurs versus Crystal Palace. Let's just remind everybody where Spurs are.
We're only
16th
one
place.
point off now.
They're only one. They're only 1 point above the relegation places
Can
in
we
29.
consider that a relegation fight now? I mean, just a relegation fixture this evening.
Well, 35 points. I would almost say Crystal Palace are probably safer, but it's a huge game. It's an absolutely huge game. I keep on forgetting who they have as manager. Spurs. Who is that guy? Tudor.
Igor Tudor, and apparently he's already lost the dressing room. Rumor has it.
Oh
So
my God.
there's already discussions as well internally that if they fail to pick up points at Crystal Palace, he could be out the door by the end of the week.
He's been in the job a week.
I
Oh,
know it could
but
be the
it wouldn't surprise me.
shortest managerial reign. It could be the shortest managerial reign, which would be phenomenal.
I think somebody's got some bets at Betfred. Personally speaking.
I will say one thing as well. One positive bit of news that have come out of Tottenham this week is the fact that Mickey van der Ven isn't continuing his contract with the club next season. And one of the main clubs that he's been linked with or showing an interest in joining is Manchester United. So I feel like Mickey van der Ven could be quite a good addition to our Arsenal anyway, because he's been one of the standout players in that Spurs squad in the last couple of years.
I've got a question for you two though with that.
Go on.
Would you take him and would you forgive him for his bicycle kick goal line clearance in the Europa League final? Would you
Oh.
forgive him if he joined you?
Well, Rod, we've just that game's just been erased from our memory, so I've got no recollection of that.
All I say is, oh, Mickey, you're so fine. You're so fine. You blow my mind. Come to us.
There
Okay,
we go.
come to us.
Get that going. Get that going, Rod. I'll just get you stood in the Stretford end doing it.
Hey, right. Well, I need something to shout about, I have to say. This turned into the weekend. It's FA Cup fifth round action. Friday night is I don't know, is it a tasty game? Wolves will be hoping to put their form in the Premier League behind them. They host Liverpool. It's a big game for Liverpool. I mean, we haven't talked about Liverpool, but I do think that Slot will not be there next season. I think they'll get rid of him.
I don't know. I don't know.
Oh,
They back him, don't they?
Liverpool always back their managers, and that's the one thing I've always admired about the football club. They always give them time. To be fair, they have. I think the loss of Diego Jota has been arguably the biggest loss for them.
Yes.
Not only that, they've lost Diaz as well, which was a great player for them. And sometimes players have off seasons, and their back four this season has been. Well, it's a Cullender would be better at holding water than that back line would be. But I think, I think that would be the biggest game of the FA Cup weekend so far because obviously 2-1 against Wolves. Wolves were struggling and seem to be in. They've won the last two games at home on the bounce. They'll be hoping to do the same again at Molineux on Friday night, and it wouldn't surprise me if Wolves do a Wolves and pull out a brilliant result and knock Liverpool out the FA Cup, because
It's
we've
happened in
seen how
previous.
we've seen how important momentum is and that magic of the FA Cup. And as you say, Erin, they've done it before, and you can imagine the boost it would give. It would give to Wolves. And I was watching a video put out by the BBC a couple of days ago, and they're saying that Wolves can still stay up in the league. I don't know if that's quite a
They're
possibility.
pulling a Leicester's Great Escape style.
That's what I mean. Could we see that with an FA Cup run at the same time? I think it'd be an interesting one. I think Liverpool fans will be watching it through covered eyes, but I think every other football fan will be licking their lips at the possibility of a cup upset and also a Liverpool upset as well. But we'll have to wait and see on Friday night for that one.
On Saturday, the fifth round continues, and I got to say, this is where the FA Cup is excellent. Mansfield Town versus Arsenal at
Come on, Mansfield.
12:15. And then you've got the darlings of the Hollywoods of the Football League. Wrexham take on Chelsea at Wrexham 5:45. That'll be an interesting game, won't it?
It will be. And do you know what? It's still mental to me that 5 years ago, Wrexham would have been playing Altrincham.
Yeah, exactly.
So the rise is insane, and obviously you can say it's because of the money that they've spent and
Yeah.
everything else. It is, but you can't take anything away from them. They deserve what they've got, and that'll be a really interesting game. And I mean, if Chelsea's discipline record is anything to go by, there'll at least be a few cards in that one.
And on at 8 o'clock on Saturday night, and with this good spring weather, there'll be even more shirtless people up at the Toon. City are there playing Newcastle United. It's an 8 o'clock kickoff. That'll be live somewhere. I can't remember if it's Sky or if it's TNT or terrestrial channel. I'm not sure, but it's that's a big game. I'm looking forward to that. I'm away this weekend, but I'm looking forward to that game. That'll be a classic.
I was looking forward to it up until after last night. I mean, I'm not sure how that one will go. We always seem to struggle against Newcastle. However, if there's one player that I want to play in that fixture out of any of them, and you'll know who I'm getting at here, Marmoush. That man turns into a different animal when he plays Newcastle. It's fun. You always get that one player that seems to perform well against your team, don't you? And that you always pick out one player that plays well against you. And that for City and Newcastle is Marmoush. The man seems to score every time we play them.
Mamushkika, mamushkika, mamushki, aye, aye. I'm all full of tunes today. It's the spring air. That was a bit of, by the way, you probably won't know that. That was Kate Bush, by the way. Right. And then there's Women's European World Cup qualifiers, and the home nations are in action. Wales take on Montenegro, and Northern Ireland are in action. I saw that actually. Where is that? I couldn't see it now.
I watched Northern Ireland the other night.
And oh, did you? Well
I
done
watched
to
them in
you.
Switzerland.
Oh, Northern Ireland play Turkey at 7 o'clock, and Republic of Ireland play the Netherlands away. England are in action against Iceland at 12:30 in Group 3. That'll be a tasty tie. Where do they play those games, guys?
So the England game is being played at the City Ground at Forest.
Oh, good.
So
Good.
it's sold out as well. They played in Turkey on Tuesday night against Ukraine. Obviously, for obvious reasons, they can't play
Yeah,
over
yeah.
there. But actually, this is an exciting one. They don't often have games in the Northwest England, as we know. The Lionesses are playing at the Hill Dickinson in June, and I have managed to secure tickets behind the goal. So
Oh,
I'm quite
nice
happy
one.
with that.
Nice one. Do you tell me? Do you blog about that, or do you is there a Twitter account people can follow your stuff on women's football?
I don't, as such. I have one for my City one, but I don't think people really want to follow that. It's probably me just blasting about how well we've been doing
It's
in the
it's a
league.
it's a
I mean,
therapy channel.
I've got the odd few. I have a sports account which you can see my writing on
Okay.
about England and club.
Go and follow her. Erin Bo Carroll, the Scots are in action against Luxembourg. The Bagpipes will be playing away there. And in the championship, there's nothing. I'm going to go straight to National League. Actually, Altrincham play Truro, as we've discussed. It's a 3 o'clock kickoff. Either of you commentating on that?
I'm on stadium announcements for that one.
Stadium
It's
announcements.
it's the International Women's Day fixture for that one, so they've got the women's team coming as well.
Harry, I feel like we've got to give her some sort of code word or some sort of sentence that she's got to get into something
Yeah.
to say on the tannoy. What do you reckon?
Oh,
I think she's got to get the a Theatres of Dreams podcast in somehow.
yeah.
What do you reckon?
I think you should say, "Could this be the theatres of dreams?" I think that's what you could say, or something like that. Squeeze it in
Okay.
Wednesdays,
I've got to
Wednesday
squeeze it in
release
somewhere.
Squeeze it
somewhere.
in.
If
And
if 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 not,
yeah,
get a Wham song in there because they're always a good one.
yeah, wake
Uh,
me up before you go,
yeah,
okay? Or something like
Declan House scores. You're my man.
that.
If you're gonna do it right, do it for me. But I'm keeping an eagle ear out just to see if anything does crop up. Could have a game, could get some bingo cards printed off, Rod, and see if we can
Oh,
tick them off
right,
as we go.
right. Bo Carroll, you've got a challenge this weekend, all right? Get the Theatres of Dreams in, and you got to get a Wham song reference in there as
Okay.
well.
I mean, I
Okay.
probably could do that on Sunday when I'm on actual commentary for the women. I could probably do that.
Whatever way, we
We'll be
want it.
keeping an ear out.
We want it recorded. We want to record it. We want to hear it in the podcast next week. Okay,
I will
and
try.
and then it's there's some tidy ties at the weekend. On Sunday, as fifth round action continues, Fulham versus Southampton, Portfield versus Sunderland, and Leeds United versus Norwich City. Sunderland will be enjoying that, a reprieve, if you like, and from what they've been going through. So that'll be a good time for them. In Scotland, there's a small matter of the Old Firm in the Scottish Cup quarterfinals, Rangers versus Celtic. My mate, who I was out with in London the all night's over from New York for that. So he'll be going that. Shout out to Alan Kennedy. We had a lovely time in London, actually, Londonium. And there you go, right? And then on Monday night is more FA Cup fifth round action. West Ham play Brentford, an all Premiership tie. That'll be a tight game, won't it, guys?
Oh, definitely. But I reckon Brentford to nick that one. What about you, Harry?
Yeah, Brentford to nick that one. West Ham, their priority is securing Premier League survival. So they'll just be. Well, I can imagine they'll be all focusing on the Prem. So FA Cup, I don't think they'd be too disappointed if they went out at the fifth round. But I've just got to say, I'm just hoping on that Saturday. I'm hoping I'm going to look at my phone at 3 o'clock, see that Alty have got a goal in the first minute. Erin's done a Wham song, and also it's going to say that Mansfield Town have knocked Arsenal out of the FA Cup. But we can but hope. We can but hope.
We can hope for a good Saturday.
There we go. Fingers crossed.
You know, it's a good Saturday because United aren't playing. It's a good start, actually. But there you go.
There we
And
go.
I have to suffer at 8 o'clock and see how we get on against Newcastle.
Suffer.
Suffer
Listen
is.
to her. Look, Suffragette City. There you
Newcastle away isn't for everybody. Let's just say that we're one of them.
Well, anyway, the weather's looking better, so there'll be even more uncharted people up there with stuff written on their chest. As is their want. But anyway, wherever you're watching your football this weekend, enjoy the spring air. It's gorgeous out there. It's the sort of time now where it's great to have a pint before the game or a pint after the game. You know, it's where you'd like
Pint
to.
in general, maybe.
Oh, indeed. Anyway, we need to meet up sometime soon. That's been the Theatre of Dreams podcast. You've been listening to Harry Morell, Erin Carroll. I'm Rod Maxwell. We'll be back again with more shenanigans next week. Thanks for listening and watching. Bye-bye.
Bye.